India's premium airline, now one of India's biggest defaulter. Everyone knows the boom to bust story of Jet Airways. But there is something Jet Airways kept hidden. HW News will unravel the story, the losses Jet Airways did not show.
Namaskar, this is Akhilesh Bhargava. Welcome to yet another episode on HW Exclusive. With the bankers to Jet Airways, who have collectively lent it 8,400 crores, unable to get a buyer at their promise, the airline is now before the NCLT awaiting liquidation. Now, whenever liquidation proceedings start, an insolvency professional is appointed by the creditors. The primary duty of the insolvency professional is to take charge of the assets of the company, here in this case the airline, to take charge of its state of affairs and also to start receiving claims of creditors. Interestingly, while as per the latest available audited balance sheet of Jet Airways, its total liabilities towards vendors, towards lenders, towards employees, towards trade agents, etc., these total liabilities, as per the latest audited balance sheet, are to the tune of 19,743 crores. And the insolvency professional who has been appointed has already received liability claims of over 25,000 crores as of 6th July. And according to us, they will be much more. We are counting. They will turn out to be much more. The question is that if, as per the latest audited balance sheet, the liabilities of Jet Airways were to the tune of 19,743 crores, then how is it that the insolvency professional has already received claims of over 25,000 crores? Where did these liabilities really come from? The insolvency professional has accepted liabilities to the tune of 8,422 crores, which is loans of the bankers. And for the balance, he is verifying the books of accounts to really see whether they are genuine and payable or not. Now, suppose for a moment these claims of 25,000 crores are considered to be genuine and payable, then the question is, how come that they went unreported, unrecorded for years, year after year? How is it that they were not part of the financial statements? And how were these bogus financial statements certified by the management and by the auditors of Jet Airways year after year? Liabilities hidden. According to us, Jet Airways is a case of liabilities not reported properly. It appears to us that losses have been hidden, liabilities have been hidden, because hidden liabilities mean hidden losses. Now, this airline has already been incurring major losses year after year. In fact, in the last 12 years, it's only on 2 occasions that it made a profit. So probably there was an urgency on the part of Jet Airways to hide the extent of its losses in order to be able to show a rosy picture, which is what it appears it did. The question is, how were these liabilities hidden? To us, the answer lies in the contingent liabilities of Jet Airways, disclosed by way of one small fine print line in the balance sheet of Jet Airways. Contingent liabilities to the tune of 60,000 crores is what the balance sheet, the audited financial statements of Jet Airways disclose. And here lies the answer. To us, genuine liability claims must have been received, and the airline did not record them in the books as genuine liabilities. It preferred to disclose them by way of contingent liabilities. A contingent liability means one which may or may not be arising, and it may or may not be payable. And the chances are, according to us, this is how liabilities were hidden. Surprisingly, the auditors did not report the true state of affairs. They did not really bother to report that these are not contingent liabilities. They are actual liabilities. And that explains why the insolvency professional has received claims of over 25,000 crores and counting. If the bankers had their way, this would not have been unearthed. In fact, SBI, the lead banker, had appointed Ernst & Young as a forensic auditor to investigate the affairs of the airline. And in the report given by Ernst & Young on 6th March, very incriminating findings were mentioned. The Ernst & Young report mentioned that there have been large-scale cases of siphoning of funds, non-provisioning of liabilities. The report also said that there have been bogus billings and dubious related party transactions. This is what the report of EY said on 6th of March. Very surprisingly, instead of investigating the affairs of the airline further, the bankers, in their meeting on 21st April 2019, gave the airline a clean chit. It deemed and closed the matter. It found the explanations of the management in respect of these dubious transactions and findings reported by Ernst & Young to be adequate and enough. And it thus said it doesn't need to be looked into further. That is a shocker to us. And I said this would have gone unnoticed. But to the good luck of the government of India and the people of India, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs was conducting an inspection of the books of accounts of Jet Airways. And in that inspection, it found rampant malpractices, financial mismanagement, dubious related party transactions, diversion of funds, siphoning of funds, bogus bills. And it is this report of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs which has led to the appointment of SFIO to further investigate the affairs of Jet Airways. So the SFIO is investigating its affairs now, so is the ED, so is the Income Tax Department, and so is the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. SFIO has thus prevented Naresh Goyal and his wife from leaving India. Its management is going to be questioned, and rightly, even the bankers are going to be questioned. SFIO wants to know what was the hurry for the bankers to have given a clean chit to Jet Airways and closed the case, whereas it was not a fit case for being closed because the findings of Ernst & Young's forensic audit report were very incriminating. To us, Jet Airways is a case of a fraudulent and scammy story, and in it, in some way or the other, the management promoters, the bankers and the auditors have been party to this entire story. They all in their own way knew what was happening. And to them, we have these questions. The first question is to the bankers, lenders to Jet Airways. Jet Airways has had a negative net worth right since 2011 onwards. It has never made a profit, as I said, for most of the years. A negative net worth means there was no promoter capital in the airline. Despite this pathetic situation, why did the bankers keep giving money to Jet Airways year after year? What was their compulsion to lend money to a loss-making entity? And how did they justify these loans in their internal appraisal notes by virtue of which they gave these loans? So the first question is to the bankers. Why did you consistently keep lending money to a loss-making entity? The second question to the bankers. It was in February 2019 that SBI very confidently said that they will get a new buyer for the airline and a new management will be in place by May 2019. We are now in July 2019. No buyer has come on the board and probably will not come either. The bankers knew the extent of rot in the system as far as Jet Airways is concerned. Why is it then that they still very confidently maintain right up to the end of April that a new buyer, a new management will come into place? We need to also understand that. Our third question is again to the bankers. What was their hurry to give a clean chit to Jet Airways and close the case, despite the incriminating forensic audit report of Ernst & Young? They need to also explain that. What was their compulsion? Were they under some kind of pressure that they had to give a clean chit and let these promoters go by? Our next question is, why did not the auditors and the bankers investigate those huge contingent liabilities of 60,000 crores? That's a sizable figure. How did those liabilities arise? What were the details? Because out of these 60,000 crores of contingent liabilities, the tax disputes, which is one of the very normal routine contingent liability that any company has, the tax disputes were only to the tune of 1,275 crores. How did those contingent liabilities come? Why didn't anybody bother to see whether they are true liabilities and whether losses are being hidden by not disclosing true liabilities and calling them contingent liabilities? Our next question is, why did the bankers and the auditors permit related party transactions which were very clearly dubious? It was very clear that money was being siphoned by the Goyals through related party transactions, which were not in the best interest of the company and the airline. And all these payments to related parties were made through bank accounts. Why did the bankers permit them? Is our next question. This should have been looked into long ago, and these kind of transactions should not have arisen at all. Our final question is to the auditors. What is it? What was the incentive they got for certifying such bogus financial statements year after year? And as expected, even the Big Four was an auditor to the airline. So what was the incentive? What did they get? What was the pressure put on them to certify such bogus financial statements is our final question. It is very apparent that Jet Airways has issued bogus financial statements year after year, to which the management was a party, the auditors were a party, and the bankers were a party in the sense they did not object or they did not raise issues on what they knew was wrong. The sad part is the airline is shut. Vendors have lost money, bankers are going to lose money, employees have lost money, trade agents have lost money. But certainly, so far, the management has profited, the auditors have profited. This is a serious issue. And to us, if the promoters of Jet Airways are going to be punished in a similar manner, the bankers need to be punished and the auditors too. Otherwise, there will be enough incentive for further companies to perpetrate such frauds, hoping to get away with the crime that they would have instituted. This is Akhilesh Bhargava signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.